She has given impromptu speeches in all 50 states. Please put your hands together for Lisa Loudermilk.
Raise your hand if you've ever engaged in retail therapy. AKA,
there you go.
Buying everything in sight to make yourself feel better. This story is not about that sort of retail therapy. Oh no. This story is about what happens when you work in retail and realize you need therapy for the traumatizing experiences you endure. When I was 20, I sold jewelry at a store that will remain anonymous. There, I started my day with a morale-boosting meeting in which the store manager told us what a horrible job we were doing. I figured this was normal. It's not like anyone likes going to work. I assumed it was because of the daily tongue lashings. After picking my tattered ego off the coke-stained carpet, I slipped over to the jewelry counter. I say slipped because I wasn't allowed to wear tennis shoes. And the only remotely pair of dressy shoes that fit me were my mom's ankle boots. These shoes had a large heel on them, and they made me realize why both heel and banana peel have an eel in them. They're slippery. But since the first thing customers saw when they waltzed past the rather tall jewelry counter was my shoes, heels it was. But the block that toppled the Jenga tower is a man I like to call Greeny Green Eyes. We'll call him Greeny for short. Greeny came up to my counter late one evening, his green eyes shifty as a broken shift key. He asked to see a $600 bracelet. He hemmed and hawed over it for the next 3 hours. Since I had the decisive powers of a roadkill squirrel, I figured, who am I to judge? I told him, take your time. Finally, after world peace had been declared, Greeny said, I'll take it. He then handed me 6 $100 bills. I marked each one with our special counterfeiting marker. Each and every one of them passed the test, and Greeny went on his merry way. Remember, Greeny, he'll be important later on. But first, let's talk about why I gave this job the heeled boot. One day, my manager pressured an old lady into signing up for a credit card she really didn't want. And I decided I was done. You don't mess with seniors. I announced my departure later that day. But if you think that was the end of the story, oh boy, are you in for a surprise. Several weeks later, I get a call from my former coworker. Lisa, the cops are here and they want to talk to you. Wow. The police want to talk to me? Seriously? I'm so flattered. I've never been interviewed by the police before, but I guess I can make some time in my busy schedule to chat with them. Let me just find some dress pants. It's important to make a good first impression, and he may not want to interview me again if I'm wearing pajamas. That is not what I said. My reaction looked a little more like this. After my meltdown, I rushed over to the retail store. In my running shoes, thank you very much. There, the police officer told me that our old pal Greeny had given me 6, count them, 6 counterfeit bills. And the officer thought I should have known better. When you are blamed for a counterfeiting crime you had nothing to do with, there is only one thing to do, and that is to throw a counterfeit. But officer, each and every one of the bills passed my marker test. How was I supposed to know they were just really good counterfeit? But you thought he looked suspicious, Miss Loudermilk. Why did you serve him? Let me think about this for a moment. How do you refuse service to someone because they look suspicious? Sir, I'm afraid we don't serve shifty-eyed folk here. You're gonna have to take your shifty-eyed self elsewhere. The police van said so. Then we would have had a lawsuit. And there is enough sewage in the world, thank you very much. We don't need another sewer. Remarkably, I simmered down enough to give the police officer a very accurate description of Green. And the officer brought him to justice. By this point, the officer was so impressed with my superb... Yes, the officer was just that impressed, guys. So impressed with my superb deduction skills, he asked me if I'd ever considered a career in law enforcement. Are you joking? No, I'm quite serious, Miss Loudermilk.
Turn that off.
No, I'm quite serious, Miss Loudermilk. With your attention to detail, I think you would be great in law enforcement. Well, in that case, no. I have never, ever, ever considered a career in law enforcement, and am unlikely to do so, ever. But if you think that was the end of the story, strikeout number 2. Several months later, I needed to do some research on police work for a little writing project. I decided to go on a ride along with the police. And you know which officer I saw there? Any guesses? That's right, the very same officer who interrogated me. He said to me, I hope we're friends now, Miss Loudermilk. Oh yeah, man, we're besties. But please, 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 don't ever interrogate me again. And no amount of therapy will ever make me forget my experiences working in retail or in hearing that sound.